Chapter 16 from George Ivanovich Gurdjieff's Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson. The relativity of the concept of time. After a brief silence, Beelzebub continued, "In order for you to have a more exact idea of the strange psyche of those three-brained beings who have taken your fancy and who breed on the planet Earth, and in general, a better understanding of everything about this peculiar planet. In my opinion, it is very necessary for you to have an accurate conception of how they calculate time, and of how the being's sensation in their presence, of what is called the process of the flow of time, has gradually changed, and what it has become today. This must be made clear to you, because only then will you be able to represent to yourself and understand the events on that planet I have already spoken about, and those I shall tell you about later. First of all, you must know that in calculating time, the three-brained beings of that planet take the year as the basic unit, just as we do, and they define the duration of their year as the time it takes for their planet to make a certain movement in relation to another cosmic concentration. That is to say, the period during which their planet, in the process of falling and catching up, describes what is called a Crentonalnian revolution around its sun. This corresponds to our reckoning of a year on the planet Karatis, based upon the period of time between those moments when the sun Samos and the sun Selos are nearest to each other. 100 of these years of theirs, the beings of the earth call a century. They divide the year into 12 parts, and each part they call a month. And they determine the duration of this month by the time it takes for the larger fragment separated from the earth, the one they now call moon, to complete, according to the cosmic laws of falling and catching up, its full Crentonalnian revolution around their planet. It must be remarked that 12 Crentonalnian revolutions of the moon do not correspond exactly to a single Crentonalnian revolution of their planet around its sun, and they have therefore made some compromise or other in calculating these months of theirs, so that the total corresponds more or less to reality. Further, they divide their month into 30 days, as they call them, and a day they reckon as that span of time during which their planet makes a complete rotation on its axis, under the action of the same cosmic laws. Bear in mind, by the way, that they also use the word day to mean that trogo-auto-egocratic process we call Gstat Savakt, which periodically takes place in the atmosphere of their planet, as on all other planets, where the cosmic process called Ilno Soparno is actualized. And when this occurs, they say it is daytime. As regards the opposite process, which we call Kladat Sakti, they call it night and say it is dark. Thus, the three-brained beings breeding on the planet Earth call their longest unit of measure of time a century, and this century consists of 100 years. A year has 12 months. A month has an average of 30 days. Further, they divide their day into 24 hours, their hour into 60 minutes, and the minute, in its turn, into 60 seconds. But since you, my boy, do not yet have any idea of the exceptional peculiarities of time, you must first be told that genuine objective science defines this cosmic phenomenon thus. Time in itself does not exist. There is only the totality of the results issuing from all the cosmic phenomena present in a given place. Time in itself no being can understand by reason or perceive by any outer or inner being function. It cannot even be sensed by any gradation of the instinct present in every more or less independent cosmic concentration. It is possible to evaluate time only by comparing different cosmic phenomena occurring under the same conditions and in the same place where time is being considered. It should be noted that in the great universe, all phenomena, without exception, wherever they arise and are manifest, are simply successive, lawful fractions of some whole phenomenon, which has its prime arising on the most holy Sun Absolute. In consequence, all cosmic phenomena, wherever they proceed, have an objective significance. And these successive lawful fractions are actualized in every respect, even in the sense of their involution and evolution, according to the fundamental cosmic law, the sacred heptapara parshinok. Time alone has no objective significance, since it is not the result of the fractioning of any definite cosmic phenomenon, issuing from nothing, but always blending with everything, while remaining self-sufficiently independent. Time alone in the whole of the universe can be named and extolled as the ideally unique subjective phenomenon. Thus, my boy, time, or as it is sometimes called, the Heropas, is unique in having no source on which its origin depends, and it alone, like divine love, always flows independently and blends proportionately with all the phenomena present in all the arisings in any given place in our great universe. Again, I say, you will only be able to understand clearly everything I have just told you when I specially explain to you, as I have already promised, all the aspects of the two fundamental laws of world creation and world maintenance. Meanwhile, simply remember this. Since time has no source of its arising, and its presence cannot be precisely established, as can be done for all other phenomena in every cosmic sphere, objective science has, for its examination of time, the same standard unit that is used to determine exactly the density and quality, in the sense of the vivifyingness of their vibrations, of all cosmic substances present in every place and in every sphere of our great universe. And this standard unit for the evaluation of time has always been the moment of what is called sacred ego kulnats namian sensation, which appears in the holy cosmic individuals dwelling on the most holy Sun Absolute, whenever the vision of our unibeing endlessness is directed into space and directly touches their presence. This standard unit was established in objective science to make it possible to define and compare with precision the different degrees of subjective sensation of conscious individuals, as well as what are called the diverse tempos of the various objective phenomena which are manifested throughout the spheres of our great universe, and which engender all cosmic arisings, both large and small. The chief particularity of the process of the flow of time consists in this. It is perceived in the same way and in the same sequence by the presences of all cosmic formations of different scales. To give you at least some notion of what I have just been saying, let us take as an example the process of the flow of time in any drop of water in the decanter on the table. Each drop of water in that decanter is in itself a whole independent world, a world of microcosmoses. In that little world, just as in other cosmoses, there arise and exist relatively independent, infinitesimal individuals or beings. For the beings of that little world, time flows in the same sequence as that in which it is sensed by all individuals in all other cosmoses. These infinitesimal beings, like the beings of cosmoses of other scales, have the experience of a definite duration for each of their perceptions and manifestations, and like other beings, sense the flow of time by comparing the duration of phenomena around them. Like the beings of other cosmoses, they are born, grow up, unite, and separate for what are called sexual results. They also fall ill and suffer. And ultimately, like everything existing in which objective reason has not become fixed, they are as such destroyed forever. The entire process of existence of these infinitesimal beings in their tiny world requires a proportionate duration of time, which, as in other worlds, ensues from all the surrounding phenomena manifested on that cosmic scale. For them also a definite length of time is required for the process of their arising and formation, as well as for the various events in the course of their existence, up to their final and complete destruction. In the whole course of existence of the beings in this drop of water, certain definite and successive, what are called periods of the flow of time, are also required. A definite time is needed for their joys and for their sorrows. In short, for every kind of indispensable being experiencing, down to what are called runs of bad luck, and even including periods of thirst for self-perfection. I repeat, among them, too, the process of the flow of time has its harmonious sequence, and this sequence ensues from the totality of all surrounding phenomena. In general, the duration of the process of the flow of time is perceived and sensed in the same way by all cosmic individuals and by all completely formed units endowed with instinct, the only difference being due to the quality of their presence and of their state of the given moment. However, my boy, it must be pointed out that although for separate individuals existing in independent cosmic units, the definition of the flow of time is not objective in the full sense of the word, their experience acquires a sense of objectivity for them, since they perceive the flow of time according to the completeness of their own presence. The same drop of water we have taken as an example can serve to give you a clearer understanding of this thought of mine. Although from the standpoint of universal objectivity, the period of the process of the flow of time in that drop of water is, for the whole of it, entirely subjective. Yet, for the beings existing within the drop of water itself, this same period of the flow of time is perceived as objective. To clarify this idea, those beings called hypochondriacs, who exist among the three-brained beings of the planet Earth, can serve as another example. It often seems to these terrestrial hypochondriacs that time passes infinitely slowly, or as they would say, it drags phenomenally, tediously. In exactly the same way, it may occasionally seem to some infinitesimal beings in that drop of water, assuming, of course, that there happen to be hypochondriacs among them, that time drags phenomenally, tediously. But in fact, according to the sensation of the duration of time of your terrestrial favorites, the whole existence of these microcosmoses lasts only a few of their minutes, and sometimes only a few of their seconds. Now, my boy, so that you may understand time and its peculiarities better, let us compare your age with the corresponding age of a being existing on the planet Earth. And for this comparison, we must take the same standard unit of time that objective science uses for such calculations. Bear in mind, first of all, that objective science has established, according to data about which you will learn later when I have specially explained to you the fundamental laws of world creation and world existence, that all normal three-brained beings, and among them, of course, those arising on our planet, Karatis, sense the sacred ego kulnats namian action by which they define time, 49 times more slowly than it is sensed by the sacred individuals dwelling on the most holy Sun Absolute. Consequently, the process of the flow of time is 49 times quicker for the three-brained beings of our Karatis than for the beings on the sun absolute. And this is the speed at which it also should flow for those breeding on the planet Earth. Moreover, it is calculated that during the period of time in which the sun Samos completes its movement of closest approach to the sun Selos, the period considered as 1 year on our Karatas, the planet Earth completes 389 Crentonalnian revolutions around its sun Ors. It also from this, that our year, according to the conventionally objective calculation of time, is 389 times longer than the period which your favorites consider a year. You will surely be interested to know that these calculations were given to me in part by the great arch-engineer of the universe, his measurability, the archangel Algamatant. May he be perfected unto the holy Anklad. He explained them to me when, on the occasion of the first misfortune to the planet Earth, he came to the planet Mars as one of the sacred members of the Third Most High Commission, and further calculations were given me by the captain of the trans-space ship Omnipresent, with whom I had several friendly talks on my journey home from exile. Now you should note that you, as a three-brained being, who arose on the planet Karatas, are at present only a 12-year-old boy, and with regard to being and reason, exactly like a boy of 12 on the planet Earth, who is still unformed, and not yet aware of himself, an age all three-brained beings there live through in the process of growing up to the being of a responsible being. All the features of your whole psyche, your character, temperament, and inclinations, in short, all the particularities of your psyche that are manifested outwardly, are exactly the same as those of an immature and still pliant, three-brained being there at the age of 12. And so, from all I have just said, it follows that although according to our calculation of time, you are only a boy of 12, not yet formed and not yet aware of himself, like any boy of that age on the planet Earth, nevertheless, according to the calculation based upon the upon the subjective understanding of your favorites, and their being sensations of the flow of time, you have already existed not 12, but all of 4,668 years. Thanks to all I have said, you will have material for clarifying certain factors that later were the cause of the gradual diminishing of the average normal length of their existence, until it has now become, in the objective sense, almost nothing. Strictly speaking, this gradual diminution, which has finally reduced the average length of existence of the three-brained beings of that ill-fated planet to almost nothing, had not one but many and varied causes. Among these, the first and principal cause was, of course, that nature had to adapt herself correspondingly in order to change their presence little by little into what it is now. As for the other causes, it must be said, in all justice, that they might never have arisen on that ill-fated planet had that first cause not occurred, from which, in my opinion, all the others followed, though of course very gradually. You will understand all this, my boy, in the course of my further tales about these three-brained beings. For the moment I shall speak only of the first and principal cause, that is, of why and how great nature herself was compelled to take stock of their presence and to give it a new form. To begin with, you should know that throughout the universe there exist two kinds or two principles of duration of being existence. The first principle of being existence, called Fulas Mtamnian, is proper to all three-brained beings arising on any planet of our great universe, and the fundamental meaning and aim of their existence is to serve as the vehicle for the transmutation of cosmic substances necessary for the common cosmic trago-auto-egocratic process. The second principle of being existence is the one to which all one-brained and two-brained beings are subject, wherever they may arise. And the meaning and aim of the existence of these beings also consists in the transmutation through them of cosmic substances, which are required in their case not for purposes of common cosmic character, but for that solar system alone, or even for that planet alone within which or upon which these one-brained or two-brained beings arise. In any event, to make clearer the strangeness of the psyche of those three-brained beings who have taken your fancy, you must know that, in the beginning, after the organ Kunda buffer with all its properties had been removed from their presence, the duration of their existence conformed to the Fulasn Tomnian principle. That is to say, they were obliged to exist until there was coated in them, and completely perfected in reason, what is called the Kesdjan body, or as they themselves later named it, the astral body, which, by the way, contemporary beings know of only by hearsay. But afterward, my boy, for reasons you will learn about in the course of my further tales, they began to exist exceedingly abnormally, that is to say, in a way quite unbecoming to three-brained beings, so that on the one hand they ceased to emanate the vibrations required by nature for the maintenance of the detached fragments of their planet, while on the other, impelled by the chief peculiarity of their strange psyche, they began to destroy beings of other forms on their planet, thereby gradually diminishing the number of sources required for this purpose. And in order to obtain the equilibrium of the vibrations required, both in quality and quantity, nature herself was compelled to adapt the presence of the three-brained beings gradually to conform to the second principle called itaklanots, that is, to actualize them in the same way as one-brained and two-brained beings. As regards the meaning of the principle of itoklanots, I shall also specially explain it to you sometime. Meanwhile, remember that although in the beginning the reasons for the dwindling of the duration of existence of the three-brained beings of that planet were not dependent on them, yet later the main grounds for all the sad results were, and are even more so today, the abnormal conditions of external, ordinary being existence established by them themselves. Owing to these conditions, the duration of their existence has become shorter and shorter, so that now, if one compares it with that of three-brained beings of other planets in the whole universe, the difference is as great as between their own duration of existence and that of the infinitesimal beings in the drop of water we took as an example. Do you understand now, my boy, that even the most great Heropas, that is, time, has been compelled to actualize an obvious absurdity in the presence of those unfortunate three-brained beings who arise and exist on the planet Earth? In any case, thanks to all I have explained to you, you will be able to put yourself in the position and understand the, although merciless, yet always and in everything just, Heropas. Having uttered these words, Beelzebub became silent. When he spoke again to his grandson, it was with a deep sigh. My dear boy, later when I have told you more about the three-brained beings of that ill-fated planet Earth, you will understand it all for yourself and form your own opinion about everything. You will understand very well that although the primary cause of the general chaos reigning on that ill-fated planet Earth was certain unforeseennesses from above on the part of various sacred individuals, nevertheless the chief cause of all the evils that followed is to be found in the abnormal conditions of ordinary being existence they themselves gradually established and continue to establish down to the present time. In any case, my dear boy, when you learn more about these favorites of yours, not only will you see how pitiably short the duration of the existence of these unfortunates has become compared with the normal duration long since established as lawful for every kind of three-centered being in our great universe. But you will also understand that, for the same reasons, any normal being sensations whatsoever in regard to any cosmic phenomena have gradually disappeared and are now quite absent in them. Although, according to the conventionally objective reckoning of time, the beings of that ill-fated planet had their arising several decades ago, they have not as yet any being sensation of cosmic phenomena, as is proper to all three-centered beings of the whole universe, nor have these unfortunates even the least representation in their reason of the true causes of these phenomena. They do not even have an approximately correct representation of those cosmic phenomena that proceed around them on their own planet.